I'm Deepak Chopra. You're watching New Realities.
I'm Richard Polonetsky here with an incredible healer, Linda Lancaster, who has spent decades, to say the least, learning, distilling, and creating healing across many spectrums. She runs an incredible conference, which she does every year here in New York City, brings together a wide spectrum of integrative medical doctors and other healers. Just a great healer. Really grateful to have the opportunity to talk to her. Linda, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks so much.
Linda, from your decades of experience, if you had just a minute to speak to someone, maybe someone you ran into in an airport or an elevator, in a restaurant, and they asked you, Linda, what could I do to live a longer and healthier life? What would you tell them?
Well, I'm going to tell you what Dr. Parcells has said about that statement. And she said, well, I don't know if it's going to be longer, but it won't feel so long. So what we want to do is live as healthy as we can for as long as we're here.
Right.
There are many reasons, and I'm one that believes in our destiny is our destiny, and when it's time, it's time. But while we're here, let's do the best that we can to feel good and have energy and do what we're supposed to do while we're here. So I would say look at our environment and make sure that we can neutralize some of the onslaught of pollution that we are all experiencing. So, of course, I recommend the baths. I recommend organic food. I recommend breathing techniques. I recommend meditation. I recommend movement. I recommend drinking water properly, not just lugging along a big plastic jug through the streets of Manhattan.
How do you drink water properly?
I thought you'd never ask. Well, it's not so much properly. It's what our purpose is of water. So when we wake up after sleeping all night, we want to drink a couple of glasses of water.
Right.
Room temperature, that is the best. Even hot water is good for some systems. Then we can drink water before our meals, during our meals, but not after our meals for at least 2 to 3 hours.
Why is that?
Because our stomach is a pot cooking on the stove. So we pour the water in, we put the food in, add a little bit more water, and then you put the lid on and let it cook. And that's digestion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And understand that water is very, very prominent in our vegetables. So if you read my book, I recommend 80% plant food. So we're getting in in our food. We're adding more water, but we don't drink water all day. I ask my patients, are you drinking water? Yes. How are you drinking? Oh, I drink water all day. I go, no, don't do that. We need a rest from the water. So we don't have to lug that bottle along with us. I've never done that.
So it seems very fashionable for people to carry their their water bottles.
Their stainless steel water bottles, right? That exactly. I hope that if they are doing that they wash it regularly with a little Clorox
or some type of disinfectant. So question, so give a typical schedule. You mentioned people get up in the morning, drink some water, drink before meals. Is that really the only times people should be drinking water, first thing in the morning?
Yeah, well, during meals, before and during meals. After 2 hours, maybe we're doing a workout, and then you can drink water. I mean, it's more than... We need enough time to digest.
Sure.
So and it needs to put that lid on.
And what about in the summer when it's hot and you're sweating more?
Well, if you're sweating, sure. But if you drink enough water during your meals, you shouldn't be thirsty until a couple of hours later. Okay.
And if you're taking nutritional supplements, as many of the people listening here do, when would you take them? During the meals or before the meals? Because you're not drinking
before,
to take them
during,
after.
or after.
So you could drink them down.
Once you've stopped, stop.
Okay.
Let it digest.
I see.
I mean, it's not my idea of drinking water. I mean, I didn't create it, but 6,000 years ago, Ayurveda did.
Right. And so after the meal, how long would you wait before drinking again?
About 2 hours.
2 hours to let the full digestion process come
Or,
about.
after 2 hours, you can say, I'm thirsty, I can have some water. You don't have to until it's ready for you to have your next meal.
Right.
Because if you do 2 in the morning or maybe 1 during the meal, and then you're going to wind up with 8 to 10 glasses of water.
Right. And is there a particular type of water that you recommend, whether in terms of distilled
boy, is
or
that a hard
filtered
question?
spring water?
Oh, I don't like water in plastic bottles.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of apparatuses out there that can clear our good New York water from our reservoirs. There's now a lot of structured water apparatuses, which are very good.
Right.
Carbon filters. I mean, I can't imagine plastic water bottles that are sitting on a truck and heat on them.
Right.
Is going to not have plastic in it.
Right. So basically, taking your tap and filtering that with the best type of filter
or having
you
a good
have.
filter in your house. It's hard. And bless it.
Yeah.
Blessing of food, blessing of water. We don't realize the power that we actually have. And it's time to acknowledge the forces that are greater than us. What did Leonard Cohen say? If we don't pray for the angels, they won't pray for us.
Beautiful. Well, that's a great segue to my next question for you, which is, so you've mastered a bunch of modalities in terms of alternative and integrative medicine. In terms of the energetic, or let's say spiritual portions of healing, you'd mentioned blessings of food before you eat it and having a conscious intention. What types of things have you found from either prayer, spiritual, or energetic capacity has had the most profound levels of healing for your patients and perhaps even for yourself?
I think first it's acknowledgement. When you acknowledge that there's a greater force than yourself, then that big ego becomes one with everything.
So whatever that means to a person, whether it's God, the universe, the angels, whatever that is.
It doesn't matter because we're saying we're more than physical.
Right.
It's connecting with the etheric force field, which is connected to the cosmos and the primordial sound.
Right.
Ether is in all of space, so ether is in us and creates life.
And what do you mean by ether? What is your definition of ether?
Ether. Ether is one of the 5 elements. It's the primordial element, really, that gives life to the other elements. So we have ether, right? We have ether. We have air. Ether is in the air. Then we have fire. Air is in the fire. Then we have water. And then we have earth. We have 5 elements on the Ayurveda side of things. And so ether is, we have an etheric force field. Why do we have an etheric force field? Because each one of our cells, which are little batteries, are rotating and creating a field. And that field becomes vibrant if the cells are in balance. We're not going to get more energy than what we had when we started. When we first were given this vital force, when we took our first breath, we took in ether and became alive. We no longer was living on our mother. Now we have a vital force. So what's going to interfere with that vital force? Any kind of disruption, chemically or electromagnetically. So, and the vital force knows what it's doing. It has all the information. It's our innate ability to heal. And we have this innate ability to heal because of our vital force, our ether. And homeopathy is based on this.
Right.
Hahnemann talked about the vital force lots of times. I integrate it. I integrate it's the vital force, it's the etheric field, it's electromagnetic energy. It's energy, it's chi, it's prana. It doesn't matter. But to acknowledge it, now we're bringing awareness. And when we have awareness, we have this opportunity to know ourselves at a deeper level, or a broader level of where we are on the planet. We're all here on a planet Earth, right? We're all here. We're one within the planet.
Right.
We're just, the seers say, if you move a grain of sand, the whole Earth will feel the grain of sand being
Beautiful.
moved. So we are part of the whole. And I'm just trying to find peace and give tools to people to stay healthy so they can realize who they are. Was our at some point everyone asks that question: why are we here?
Right. No, it's a very beautiful purpose that you're living, and the universe supports that at a higher level when you really do find and live that purpose.
Oh, yeah.
So how can we maximize that life force, that chi, that prana that we've been given? How can we maximize, cultivate, and optimize that so we can live a healthier and more vital life?
Neutralize pollution.
How?
The baths.
What are the baths?
The therapeutic baths that we have sea salt and baking soda for radiation. We
Okay.
have very dilute Clorox baths for neutralizing heavy metals. We have apple cider vinegar for fossil fuel and chemicals. So we take a bath. We alternate those baths.
So baths have an ability to really detoxify the body.
Yes,
Okay.
it's an old naturopathic tool.
Right.
And so we do therapeutic baths. We eat food that's imbibed with electromagnetic energy
Like
from
what?
good soil, organic food, biodynamic food.
Vegetables, greens.
Vegetables, especially because they're high in minerals.
Right.
And that's where we are feeding our electromagnetic energy from the electromagnetic energy of food. We're nature. We heal with nature.
Right.
That little comment is not, everybody does not believe in that, but
Right.
I do. I've seen it. For 40 years, I've seen my patients get well.
Right. And what else can we do? So there you have the baths, you have
Okay.
the food.
We have the food. Regularly clean your liver. This book it gives you a 6-week liver cleansing.
What's the title of your book?
Harmonic healing.
Harmonic Healing.
Yeah.
So it'll show you how to do a liver cleanse.
A liver cleansing, like a 6-week giving foods that are stress-free to the liver.
Right.
I don't use a lot of supplements. I'm just not that way. I really believe that if we can get our body working and give it the good food, we're going to get well.
What about herbs? Commonly used in Ayurveda
Yes.
and Chinese
I
medicine.
do use herbs, cleansing herbs, and that's in the book. However, not any particular brand or anything, it's
Sure.
just certain herbs are really good for cleaning the liver. And then what's most important, we drink water, we movement.
What kind of movement? Do you have a preferred form of movement?
No. I say move. Even
Okay.
if you're at your desk, get up and walk around the desk.
Right.
I have my little morning routine that I did use. I mean, I've been doing yoga since I'm 20. Wow. So I do still some yoga postures and movement, and that's in the book.
Great.
And then I meditate. I meditate every day. I bless my food. I honor the forces that are regularly. And
What are those forces?
cosmic forces, the force, whatever you want to call it, the higher knowledge, I'm just
The source of all.
Yes, the source of all. Even Einstein recognized that there
Absolutely.
was, that everything in the universe is energy. And we are energy. That etheric body, then that etheric field are threads of light that goes through our physical body to give us life.
Beautiful.
So.
Beautiful. What are your thoughts on the power of prayer, not only in healing, but in every area of our lives?
Very important. A prayer is really a mantra. It's a blessing. And if you're saying that prayer with fervor and intention, it will get to where it's going. You know, for me, my prayer is every day I do the Gayatri mantra and I do the Our Father every day. So, and I say it out loud. Usually, I say it lots of times in the shower.
And you say it out loud.
Yeah.
Why do you say it out loud?
Because our voice is electromagnetic and it goes out into the field. So I do the Our Father and I do the Gayatri mantra out loud, and I've done it for 50 years. So
Yeah.
I try every time to do it with a full heart.
Full focus, concentration.
Oh yes, nothing
feeling.
else in the way. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I meditate. I meditate every day.
And what form of meditation do you practice?
Sometimes I do breathing, but I like I like a simple meditation that Father Thomas Keating taught me. You sit down on your pillow on the ground. It's important to get down on the ground. And
Why is that? To ground with the earth?
yeah, to be down on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, and I close my eyes, get a calm rhythmic breathing after I do my mantra, Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha, Gayatri mantra, and then I imagine I'm on the bank of a river, and so what will ultimately happen is the thought will come in, and you look at the thought, and then you have a little boat there on the side of the river. You have a little boat, and you take that thought, go into that boat, goodbye. Back to the river, back to peace, back to the flow.
And does the boat stay there, or does the boat take off?
Goes off, goes away,
So
but another one comes back.
And so there's another
Empty.
boat sitting there empty, and you can drop the thought in there,
Drop
and
the thought in there.
it goes away.
It goes away.
And then your mind is clear again, and are you just focusing on the river at that point?
Yeah,
or?
you just focus on one-pointedness. So for this case, it's the river. If I want to just, and it helps me to get back into nature in that way. So
That's
I do
wonderful.
that. I do breathing. I do one-pointed, no thought. It depends. But I like to teach that one because it's so easy and there's no religious connotation with it, even though it was from Father Thomas, who's...
Who is Father Thomas?
Father Thomas Keating, he passed away last year, and he was my patient. And he passed at 96, and he is contemplative prayer.
Wow, beautiful.
He taught contemplative. He was a Trappist monk, and taught contemplative prayer.
That's beautiful. We could talk for hours, but
Yes.
the hour is growing long. But I just wanted to ask you this as perhaps a final question. When do you feel closest to that divine source that we've been talking about? That source of all?
When I'm cooking food, when I'm chopping vegetables, when I'm in peace. After a long day, I put in 10 or 12-hour days, and then,
Right.
What do we do? Order takeout, or let's wash some vegetables. Let's cut up some vegetables and connect with nature. My best time is connecting with nature. One of my hobbies is to hike. I've hiked most of the Southwest, all through Utah and New Mexico and Colorado.
That's wonderful. Well,
Lucky.
Yeah, very beautiful. And you do that regularly.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, I do.
One last thing before we go. We talked a
Yes.
little bit about Qi. What are your thoughts on the power of Qi Gong?
Oh, very powerful. They have a method of pulling in the energy and using it in a very good way.
So the Chinese really mastered the cultivation of energy.
We all have in
Right.
different ways. I
Sure.
mean, it just so happens that the qigong is just this wonderful technique.
Right.
But at the end of the
And so many
day,
different
it's a
forms.
technique. It's a technique.
Right.
And so, but what's in your heart?
Yeah.
You know, why are you getting this powerful energy?
Right.
What are you going to do with it? I
Right.
think that's really important. So it's in our intention of creating peace and sharing energy and not being up there and saying, I have all this chi, you know. Rather bring everybody up to the same platform. You've been at my conferences. Everybody comes up to the same platform. There's no lower, there's no higher. I don't care if you
Right.
have 10 degrees.
Right.
To me, the guy who's sweeping the floor is as
Absolutely.
valuable.
Absolutely.
And little do we know, they're probably more self-realized than all of us.
Quite possibly. And you brought, I think, a very key and important point, which is that, particularly in something like Qigong, you know, a lot of people who don't really know much about or just see it on the surface level say, oh, what, those basic simple movements, what the heck could those be doing for somebody? But they don't see the conscious intention, the internal mechanisms, the powerful internal movement that's going on, and that's cultivating and moving that Qi.
It's about becoming one
Right.
with yourself and others
And all that is.
and all that is.
Wow. What a
We are so
beautiful
grateful to be here at this time on the planet, and yet so difficult.
message. Right.
You know, so I hope that harmonic healing will give some tools to those people who want to move forward in their awareness of life.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
coming here and
Thank
for
you so
sharing
much.
your wisdom and harmonic healing. Linda Lancaster, Harmonic Healing, fantastic book. Check it out, take a look, and you very well might transform your life. Thank you so much, Linda. Such a
Thanks.
pleasure to have you here.